Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Salon Marketing Live. I'm Stephanie Mitchell, really excited today because we are talking all about Google Ads for your beauty business with marketing expert, Google Ads marketing expert, Deirdre Andrews from Define Marketing. Welcome, Deirdre. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Welcome to the show. So excited to have you on here. Thanks so much for being here, Deirdre.
Thanks. I'm really excited to be here as well.
Yeah, me too. So guys, if you're watching, say hi in the comments. Let us know that you're here because we'd love to see who's here watching. But also, before we get into Deirdre's story, who she is, what she does, and how she's going to help us with Google Ads, jump into the comments and let us know. Have you ever done Google Ads for your salon before? Have you ever experimented with them? And if so, how did they go? Because we want to know what kind of level of experience you guys have. Have you ever tried Google Ads? Have you experimented and maybe they didn't go so well? Have you experimented and they went amazingly? Do you know nothing about them? Just let us know in the comments. We would love to know. So, Deirdre, tell us about yourself. I'd love to know, first of all, where you're from, where you are now, and tell us a little bit about your business and how you help business owners.
Okay, so I'm originally from Ottawa, Canada, like yourself.
Shout out to
And
Ottawa.
I'm actually living, I'm living in Glasgow, Scotland, right now. So this has been a whole new adventure for me, discovering a new country.
And what
So
brings you to Glasgow? How did you get to Glasgow from Canada?
My partner got a job. He's a physicist, so in demand here in Scotland. And we did long distance for about a year and a half and decided we were sick of the distance between us. So I packed my bags and I packed my cats and I made my way to Glasgow.
That's so exciting. So can you tell us about like your business, what you did when you were in Canada, and then what you've been doing since you moved to Scotland?
Yeah, so I've been in marketing for about 15 years now. Started out right from college in Ottawa, went to school for business marketing, and I did grad school in Toronto for advertising management. So I got my start in the software industry. As you know, Ottawa is a very tech-centered city, so most of the jobs available to me at the time when I graduated were in software. So I started out in software and I had the opportunity to manage campaigns for some huge software giants like Microsoft and Adobe. And that's actually how I got specifically into digital. I had an employer that really valued continuing education. So they supported my education while I was getting into Google Ads and Facebook ads and that kind of thing.
So when you say that you were managing their campaigns, essentially like for these software companies, they were just saying like, okay, we want to have clients do this, we want to make this much money, and then they would give you an ad budget and then you would decide everything about like how the ads were running, what they said, how they worked, etc.
Yeah, so the company I was working for was an e-commerce company that was selling digital copies of these software brands. So our goal was to increase sales of the software on our e-commerce platform. So we would partner with these software brands. So Microsoft, Adobe, Parallels, National Instruments, all of these huge software brands, and we'd partner with them to advertise their product on our store. So I'd be the one coming up with the budgets. We would write ad copy. Of course, it would go through the approval process, but we would manage that ad spend. We would see what was happening on the back end and do whatever we could to get those sales up.
Wow, that's so cool. And then how did you get to the point where you decided, okay, I'm going to work for myself? Like I know enough about ads now that I feel like I want to go out on my own and work one-to-one with businesses and get my own clients.
Yeah, so it actually took me quite a while to really decide that I was going to do this on my own. I went kind of back and forth between corporate advertising and small business marketing. So while I was at that software company, my brother and his wife decided that they were going to open their own business. So they opened a dance school, and they had asked me for help with advertising, which I was really excited about. And I realized that I was just so bored in software. It wasn't what I was passionate about. But I was really passionate about the dance studio. It was something that I felt really proud of and that I really wanted to promote. So I kind of put everything I had into the dance studio, and I ended up leaving software and working with them for several years, which was another huge learning experience for me, because not only was I doing all of the marketing side of things, I was kind of doing all of the business development for the dance studio as well. So working in the office, working with the customers, managing accounts, getting to know the people, and that definitely really shaped how I think about approaching marketing. So that was definitely an amazing experience for me, because it was just something I could be so passionate about and so proud of.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. And then how did you, like, from the dance studio, how did you then start working with more and more businesses? And maybe you can tell us, like, some of the types of businesses that you've worked with specifically for advertising, and then maybe some of the ways that you helped them.
Right. So, like I said, I kind of went back and forth. So I did a few years. I was at the dance studio 3 years full time, and we grew the business, which is fantastic. But after about 3 years, I was kind of looking for more of a challenge. I wanted to work with other businesses and just take things that one step further. So I ended up applying to work with a full-service advertising agency. So I started out just as a campaign coordinator, and before I knew it, I had been promoted to lead strategist. And it was with that agency that I had the opportunity to work with so many more businesses, big and small. I did work with local hair salons. I did work with other local businesses like jewelers. I had the opportunity to work with huge brands like Porsche and Audi and Hard Rock. I managed campaigns for Ottawa Tourism and the Ottawa Senators. So it was another big learning opportunity for me. And just I had the opportunity to get in front of clients and to, design strategies with the creative team and really take the lead on those kind of things.
So you had like a huge width
realizing.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, like, you had like a huge width of different types of businesses that you were working with, from like huge ones to smaller businesses, that kind of thing too.
Yeah, for sure. And, although it was a fantastic experience that I'm very grateful for, again, I was realizing that this wasn't really where I wanted to be. I don't love the administrative red tape that comes with working on big accounts and, dealing with account managers and that kind of thing. So I really thought about it, and I thought, working with the dance studio was the most rewarding experience I've ever had in my life. And I want to teach other small business owners like my brother and his wife, who are incredibly talented at what they do. But just because you're very talented at something doesn't mean you know everything about turning it into a business. So I really wanted to empower other small business owners to take control of their marketing efforts, to make sure that they can grow their business, to make a difference in their business, and also to make sure that they're not getting taken advantage of if they ever do decide to go the agency route.
Yeah, for sure. I know that advertising, and if you pay someone to do your advertising for you, if you don't know that much about it to begin with, there are some people out there who maybe they don't know that much themselves, but they're positioning themselves that way. So you really have to know maybe a little bit to begin with, and then you also have to know who you're doing business with as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, that's just prime opportunity for an account manager out there somewhere to try and, get as much money out of you as possible in services. So if you can at least take control of it first on your own, learn it, learn how to manage it, and when your business is growing and things are booming, then you can outsource it. At least you know how to direct someone, and you're going to understand your reporting and what you're getting.
Yeah. So Deirdre, I want to ask you some questions and like dive into the meat of the conversation today, which is like how to set up Google ads that actually bring in clients for your beauty business. But first I wanted to give a shout out to some of the people who are watching. So we have Anora here, we have Mel, Cindy, Elena is here from Las Vegas, Elle's here, Amy is here from Connecticut. Okay, and then I asked everyone to tell us like what their level of experience and knowledge is with Google Ads. So have they ever run them before, and what's their experience? So Martine says, yes, I have run them, but they cost me a fortune and I didn't know how to shut it down, which is too bad, really. I mean, they're costing you a fortune, and if you don't know how to turn them off, I guess that could seem like a huge nightmare. So she said epic fail on that one. Mel says, I haven't, but I am on the first and second and third hit against my competitors. So on organic Google advertising, Google results page. So that's great. Melina says, I'm aware of Google Ads, but I've never tried them. Lily says hi. Hi, Lily. Melissa's here from Colorado. She says she's always wanted to try Google Ads, but not sure how to go about it. She's looking forward to this, and she says, thank you. Elle has not done Google Ads. Amy hasn't tried them yet either, but she is curious. And then Nora says, I thought about it, but I chickened out. So we've got a few mixed responses of people. Some people have tried them, maybe haven't gotten the results they want. Other people are curious. They want to maybe try them out and see how they work. So Deirdre, I can't wait to get into the meat of this. So for those people who aren't really familiar with Google Ads, like they maybe kind of know about them, but not really, can you tell us a little bit, okay, what is a Google ad? How does it work? And how is it different and important in its own way compared to just like regular Google, like where your salon appears on Google?
Right. So on Google, basically anytime you go to search for something, if you type in hair salons near me, you're going to get a list of results that Google thinks are relevant to what you're searching for. So Google ads are the text ads that appear before those organic results. Mm-hmm. And it'll even say ad next to it. Not everybody realizes that the first few results are ads, yeah. But they are marked. So basically, it's a fantastic way to get in front of people who are searching for what you have to offer. So the way it works is you as an advertiser will bid on a keyword or a key phrase that you think your ideal client might search for if they're looking for your service. Mm-hmm. So you set your bid and you're entered into an auction with all of the other advertisers who are bidding on that key phrase. And if you have a really good quality ad and your bid is high enough, then you're going to win the auction and your ad will get served to that person who is searching for your service. So your ad will show up in their search results.
Right.
And the reason that I think that Google Ads are such a powerful online advertising platform compared to other platforms is you have the power of intent behind you. So when you're advertising on, let's say, Facebook or Instagram, you will set up a target audience, and generally that audience is based on a demographic, a location, and maybe some interests. So, for example, I want to target women in the city of Toronto who are interested in beauty and hair products. So your ad is being served to those people on Facebook and Instagram. They might be the right demographic, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to get their hair done or that they're looking for a new salon. But with Google Ads, if somebody is actually searching for your service, it means they want it, and they want it now or very soon. So you have the opportunity to get in front of them, basically striking while the iron is hot, mm-hmm. and you have a much higher likelihood of getting a conversion from that click than you would from a Facebook or an Instagram ad.
Got it, because people are already searching for those things. So,
Exactly.
how is a Google ad different from you just appearing on the first page of Google? So, for example, Mel wrote, she says, I haven't done Google ads, but I do appear first, second, and third when people search my search terms. So, are Google ads just for people who right now don't appear on the first page of Google or don't appear high up in the search results just so that they can show up there? Or are they good even for people who are high up in organic Google results?
Yeah, Google Ads are actually great for both. Um, so just in case anybody is mixed up with the terminology, organic traffic is when you just naturally appear in those free search results. Mm-hmm. So you're not paying for that. It's just somebody searches for your service and the results that show up on the first page, those are the organic results. So it's definitely really important to show up in the organic in the organic results because you want that organic traffic. It's free and that's how you're going to get found. But if you're not showing up there, it can be really difficult to influence your rank. So search engine optimization, that's a whole other ballgame. It definitely requires a lot of work on your site and off your site to build your domain authority. It can take months to see any change. And if you hire an agency to look after your SEO for you, they're going to charge you like $1,000 a month and require a minimum contract of like 6 months to 12 months
true.
even.
And one thing that I can
very expensive.
Yeah, one thing that I can say about for myself, I don't run Google ads currently, but a big part of my business, especially like up until I would say March of this year, was people finding me through Google, as in like they would search in like, hairdresser marketing ideas or like, how to do marketing for a salon, etc. And I would get a ton of people visiting my website from Google just because I had so many blogs. And for years, I had built up that SEO. But the problem with it is that when Google changes their algorithm, which apparently they did in March, you don't have a whole lot of control.
And a lot of people suffered.
You don't have a whole lot of control over what happens. And overnight, you could go from like being ranked first on Google for salons near me or nail salons in Chicago, for example. You can go to the second page, like, and you don't really have that much control over it. So the great thing about advertising is that you have complete control over it.
Yeah, and that's why I say even if you're already showing up on the first page of Google, I still like to use Google Ads because that's what gives you control over your narrative.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have control over which page of your website is going to show up because it's not necessarily going to be your home page. It's not necessarily going to be your product page. You might still show up, but you don't have control over that narrative or what page is showing up.
Yeah.
So Google Ads gives you that control, and you can control what somebody sees and the description of what they're seeing. And the other thing, too, that's very, very powerful is when somebody sees you in an ad and then in an organic listing, you're basically doubling your real estate on the page.
Yeah.
So there's double the chance that they're going to notice you and click on you because like, oh, wow, who's this person that's showing up in multiple places? They must really know what they're doing and be an authority in this space.
Yeah, that's another super good point. I love that. So a few people in the comments said, I've tried Google Ads. I haven't gotten them to work yet for me. I do want to get into like the nitty gritty of how to make them work and like how to set them up properly. But first, for anyone who may be a little bit skeptical about, okay, do Google Ads even actually work or are they just expensive and I'm not sure, can you tell us, Deirdre, some of the clients that you have worked with, specifically in the beauty industry, if you can, of, some of the ads that you have set up for them, maybe what the businesses were like and how those ads ended up helping the business?
Yeah, I have worked with some beauty salons. First and foremost, I do want to tell you about my own family business. When I started working with them, things were running. They did have some clients, but they weren't growing as fast as they wanted to.
Is
So
this
my
the
brother
dance
asked
studio?
me, yeah, with the dance studio. So this is a local business, owned by my brother and his wife. And my brother asked me, what do we need to do to get more clients in the door because we're not growing? And I told him, you need to invest X amount of dollars into advertising. And he just said, no way. There's no way that we can do that. We don't have that kind of money. I can't afford it. And I said to him, well, if you want to get clients in the door, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. And he was, rightfully so, very scared because paying for advertising is a risk.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to keep working at the dance studio. I really wanted to grow the business. So I went to the bank, I got a line of credit, and I put $10,000 of my own money into advertising.
Wow.
And
that
my brother
was a
said,
huge
I'll only, he said, I'll only pay you back for every new client that we get beyond what we already have.
Oh my gosh.
So I was only get a certain dollar amount for every new client.
So the pressure was
no
really on
that
at that point.
Yeah, there was no guarantee that I would make my money back.
Yeah.
So long before I went into business for myself, I just want to make sure people understand that I know what it's like to put your own money into advertising and be scared.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to take a big risk, and I can promise you that when you are managing your campaigns correctly, it does pay off because that initial investment tripled the business.
Wow.
So, yeah, we basically tripled our number of registrations based on that.
Gosh.
And that's how I ended up with my full-time salaried job there.
Wow, that's incredible.
But,
so you took a big risk there of investing your own money because you knew that it worked and you just said, I just have to be able to prove it to you. Once you see the numbers, you're going to believe me. And then what happened afterwards? So did they continue to invest their own money after that?
Yeah, so after I was able to show my brother that advertising does work and it does pay off, he sets a yearly budget now, basically out of their revenue. Okay, this is what, 2019, 2020 budget is going to be, and he lets me manage that however I please. So I still have the opportunity to manage those campaigns for my brother, even though I'm not working in his office anymore.
Yeah.
But since I started Define Marketing, so I'm currently teaching business owners how to run their own campaigns. I have had the opportunity to work with several women in the beauty space. So I'm actually working with a lot of eyelash extension artists right now. And my first student ever, I had the opportunity to do a bit of one-on-one work with her. And she was going through a bit of a transition in her business. She was doing eyelash extensions, servicing clients out of her own home.
Yeah. Oh, Deirdre, we just got cut off there for a second. You said she was working with clients out of her own home, and then we just got cut off for a second.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So she was servicing clients in her home, but she wanted to make the leap into opening a salon. So she invested in her own salon and was doing a lot of construction and renovations to get that ready. But she was freaking out. Like, it was costing her a lot of money, and she knew she needed to get clients in the door fast.
Yeah.
So we did some work together, and we restructured her Google Ads campaign. She was already running Google Ads at the time. So we restructured her campaign, and we set up a remarketing campaign. And she brought in 13 new bookings in just 3 weeks.
Wow.
So that was a pretty big leap for her.
When you say remarketing, for anyone who doesn't know, can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so basically remarketing is basically when you advertise to people who have already engaged with your website or your business online. And it's definitely a really important part of any kind of advertising campaign, just because, human nature, a lot of us, we don't whip out our credit card and buy something the moment we see an ad. We take time to think about it and come back a little later. So that's kind of your second chance to remind them who you are and remind them to come back and finish booking their appointment.
Yeah, so that's when you start to see those ads that are like following you around online. You know that you've been targeted by remarketing.
They're doing that on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. So you said when you took out that line of credit for yourself, you took out $10,000 and that ended up tripling the business, which is incredible results. But for example, the eyelash business, the lash extension business that you were working with, or some smaller beauty businesses, how much of a budget do you actually recommend that they start with, for example, per month in order to actually make an impact?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to scare anybody off by thinking that you have to go and dump $10,000 a month into a campaign. You definitely do not need to do that. I would recommend even starting with a budget of $10 a day. Mm-hmm. Ideally, I think I'd like to start with about $500 in a month, mm-hmm. but even just $10 a day is a great place for you to start.
Okay. And then how does it work for spending? So you spend $10 a day, no matter whether that brings you one client or whether that brings you 10 clients in one day. Like what can you expect to get for that $10 a day?
So you pay per click in Google. So this is a bit different from Facebook and Instagram where, even though it might show you your cost per click in your dashboard, you're actually paying for impressions because to get that click, they have to serve your ad to people in their newsfeed. Whereas with Google, first of all, your ad only shows up when people are searching for what you have, mm-hmm. and you're only paying money if somebody clicks on it. So basically that $10 a day is going to get you, let's say you're paying $2 per click on average. That's going to be getting you 5 clicks to your website. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not saying that that's going to get you a new booking every single day, but it's probably enough to get you enough bookings within a month to definitely break even on your ad spend. And when you think of the customer lifetime value, if that new booking comes back to get her hair done again, let's say 8 weeks later, then you're making a profit on her. And, every 8 to 12 weeks she comes back again, that's more profit.
Yeah, I love that. And definitely I want to chat about that kind of like how you calculate how much you're spending versus how much you're making, because that's so important. I feel like so many people spend money on advertising, whether it's on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google, and they just kind of like throw it in and they feel like it's going into a black hole and they don't really know what kind of results they're getting. Like, first of all, they kind of guess whether those clients that are booking with them came from the ad or not. They're not actually sure whether they were brought in through an ad. And then second of all, because they don't know that, it's hard for them to then calculate, okay, this month I spent $300 on Google ads, but I made, let's say, $800 in revenue. And on top of that, each one of these clients then went on to pre-book an appointment that's worth $200. So definitely that is so important, and I want to chat about that as well. I just saw that we got a question from Lauren in the comments. Guys, if you have any other questions, please ask them now. Drop them in the comments. There's no bad questions. And then I'm going to ask them to Deirdre at the end so that you can get all of your questions about Google figured out and you're ready. You feel confident about launching your campaign. So Deirdre, you teach how to do Google ads to small business owners. If someone is not technical at all, if someone always feels like I'm so bad at marketing, like I just can't figure it out, how much time and effort do you think it takes someone who has a business and they're super busy? How much realistically time and effort are they going to have to devote into Google ads on a regular basis to actually make them work?
I would say the majority of your time and effort is going to be upfront when you're building your campaign and doing a bit of research for it. You definitely don't want to rush building it, because if you rush into it, you're going to end up wasting money, and we don't want that to happen. Mm-hmm. So, better to take your time and be diligent. So it might take you a few hours on your first day to set up your campaign the right way, the way you want it, and get everything set up. And from there, after the setup and you've gone live, I would say from you're going to be looking at your campaign, you're going to be looking at your and
sorry,
collecting
Deirdre,
data and understanding what's working and what isn't.
Sorry, Deirdre, we actually missed you during the crucial part of what you were saying, which is like the hours or the time that you're going to be devoting. You were saying at the beginning you do the research, you set it up, and then we missed that middle part there.
So the setup time might take a few hours on your first day. And from there, probably within your first month, you're going to be putting in more time and effort just into analyzing your. So as you're getting clicks, as you're getting traffic to your website, you're going to be looking at what's happening inside of your campaign and making adjustments based on what's working and what isn't. Mm-hmm. But I would say after that first month, maybe 2 months, while you're really getting things going and figuring out what's working, after that, you can kind of let it run on autopilot. So for my dance studio campaigns now, I only check them like once a month because I've been running the same ads with the same keywords and I know what works. So I kind of just have to check in once a month to make sure everything's on track. So it's definitely possible to set it and forget it eventually. Yeah. But, definitely take your time and be diligent with the setup in the beginning.
That's awesome. And that's so helpful because the last thing you want is another thing to put on your list that you have to do it every single day consistently for infinity to the end of time. Because we all have so many things that we need to do on a regular basis for marketing. So if it's one of those things that, yes, it takes time at the beginning, but then you can kind of just chill out and let it do its thing afterwards, that's perfect. So I wanted to ask you, you go in and you work also one-on-one with business owners on their Google Ads, and you've seen people who have already set up accounts and have already set up ads. When you go in and you kind of restructure their ads and you help them to get them to start working, what are some of the common mistakes that you see people making on their Google Ads that actually end up in them kind of sometimes being a waste of money?
The first thing I see that happens often is people who are brand new to Google Ads end up setting up what's called an AdWords Express account. And that's kind of where Google takes control of everything. You kind of just click a button and, they automate everything and you have no control and they run your ads.
Right.
And I say that's just a recipe for losing money because, again, you have no control. It's just a machine doing the work.
Yeah.
As smart as, algorithms and machine learning is, you still need the human behind the business. So don't set up an Express account. Okay. Go in and do it manually. The second mistake I see is people who include search partners. So basically, everybody includes that because it's a default setting. So when you're setting up your campaign, Google, there's this little box that you can tick that says include search partners, and that means Google will show your text ad on other websites. I don't like using search partners. I'm sure it works in some cases, but generally for small local businesses, I find that those clicks don't lead to quality traffic or conversions. So just uncheck that and make sure your ads are only being shown in the search engine results. Another mistake that I often see is when people combine all of their keywords and all of their ads into one group. And a lot of people don't really understand what the purpose of an ad group is.
Yeah, can you tell us, for people who are just total beginners, what is an ad group?
And so an ad group is where you pair your ad with the keywords you're bidding on.
Okay.
So you're going to choose a set of keywords or key phrases that you want your ad to show up for. And then you're going to pair that with an ad that should be very specific to those keywords. And then that ad should link to a page on your website that's specific to what you're advertising.
Okay. So say, for example, you do like different services. Like say, for example, you do brow waxing and tinting, and you also do like lash extensions and facials. So you would want to have an ad group for your lash extensions and then the keywords for that. And then then the link goes to your website where you talk about lash extensions. And then same thing, if you do facials, you would have an ad group for facials. You would have your keywords for that, and then an ad and a landing page for that.
Yep. So you want to separate them by theme, and when you're a small business owner, service-based, the services you provide are a really great starting point to figure out what's the theme of my ad group and how do I break this up. For example, like you said, if you are advertising your balayage services, you want to make sure that your keywords or key phrases are very closely related to balayage, and then your ad is about your balayage services, and that goes to a page on your website that describes your balayage services and has a call to action for the potential client to book.
Got it. Okay.
So a lot of the time, I see people just adding a whole bunch of random keywords that they want to show up for, and then just writing one random ad like, awesome hair salon in Ottawa, we do all of this stuff. You don't want to do that. You want to be very specific. Yeah. So that's the purpose of your ad groups.
Okay, got it. So 3 common mistakes that you see: they're using AdWords Express, they're using advertising partners, and then they're not separating up into different themes and different groups. So you need to get very, very specific on what exactly you're advertising, and don't try to cast too wide of a net with a single ad or with a single ad group.
Yeah, I say, in marketing, it's always important to remember that most people are pretty lazy and impatient. So you don't want them to have to work for the information. Yeah. They should be able to get it immediately. So again, don't just send them to the home page of your website. If they're searching for a specific service, send them to the page of your website that describes that service so that they can get that information. Because if they have to go 2 or 3 pages deep to find it, they're just going to leave.
Yes, I love that. That's so great because yes, having people go to the homepage of your website in some cases is good because it gives them an overall idea of your website. But if you do a ton of different services and you're bringing your ad traffic to the homepage of your website, then they have to go digging, and then they get distracted, and then they end up on your Instagram page, and then they just never come back. So, in fact, I wanted to jump into the comments here because Lauren had a question about that. Lauren says, "Hi, ladies. You might get to this later, but are you recommending a straight up ad, a booking code, a landing page?" So, I'm not really sure what she means by that. Maybe you can clarify a little bit, Lauren, but do you know more or less what she means?
So your ad has to link to a specific page of your website. So this could be a page that already exists within your navigation. Like if, you have a separate page for all of your services and that already exists within your navigation, you can use that. Or if you want to build a landing page specifically for your ad campaign, you can do that as well. Okay, awesome. And then what about she said booking code, so I think I understand what Lauren means. She means do you need a special offer just for that ad? And if so, how do you do that? Do you need a booking code that you include in the ad? Do you need to bring them to a special landing page where they already have that booking code information in there? Or what do you suggest about promotions or booking codes, etc.? If you want to run a special promotion for people who have never been to your site before, you can do that, but you don't have to. Okay. You don't have to offer a discount just because you're running an ad. The point is just to help people who are searching for your service find that service. Right. So basically, if they are looking for color corrective services and they're searching for that, you write an ad for that. They click on it. They end up on your page. They see that you offer color correcting services. They book with you. And there are ways that you can track that within Google Analytics, but there doesn't have to be a specific promotion for it.
Okay, got it. Lauren says you kind of touched on it, basically where the ad will go to and how to best track it back. So I'm thinking offering a special code just for Google Ads so you see what's coming in. Yeah, very good point, because you want to be able to make sure that you know that, say for example, you use Vagaro for your booking software, and you bring them to a landing page and then they can book on Vagaro or whatever your app is for booking. How do you actually track that the person who booked that appointment, like a spray tan, I know Lauren does spray tanning, how do you track that they came from the Google ad after they've booked on your booking app?
It kind of depends. So you definitely want to have Google Analytics installed on your website. That will allow you to see how people are behaving on your site after they clicked on your ad. So you'll be able to see how long did they spend on my site, how many pages did they look at, did they just bounce and never come back again. I know that a lot of people use different third-party software for their booking. So hopefully that software integrates with Google Analytics, but I know not all of them do. So in the case where your software does not integrate with Google Analytics, you might have some trouble tracking that. And if you really want to get very, very specific, you might want to offer a special booking code or promo code for people who are new.
Got it.
If that's how you want to track it, that's fine. But hopefully, if you can integrate with Google Analytics, it'll just tell you where your conversions are coming from.
Got it.
But I will caution you, again, we talked about remarketing. So Google usually operates on what's called a last click attribution model, meaning the credit for the conversion goes to the last thing that somebody clicked on. So if they come to you through a Google ad and they bookmark your page, they don't book right away, they think about it, maybe they see your ad elsewhere, a remarketing ad, and they come back later and then they book, your Google ad may not get the credit even though that was what brought them to your website in the first place.
Right.
So yes, it's very important to track where your conversions are coming from, but just because you're not seeing instant conversions from your Google ad doesn't mean it's not working. You need to look at the big picture.
Okay, awesome. That's actually super helpful. And anyone who's running ads right now and is tracking them through Google, maybe you're a little bit more advanced, and I think that that's going to be super helpful for them. I wanted to go back through the questions and answer some questions. Danielle says, how do I write my own ad? So really good point that I wanted to also go through is like, when you're writing the text of your ad, that is what's going to get people. That's what's going to hook them. So how do you write a Google ad so that it's actually attractive and gets people to click on it?
Yeah, maybe I can start out, I'll come to that, but maybe I should start out talking about choosing your keywords because those kind of go together.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important when you're choosing your keywords or your key phrases. You don't want to be too broad. So I'm going to use balayage again as an example. I don't know a whole lot about hair treatments, so I apologize if I'm getting repetitive. But if you are, bidding on balayage, you don't want to just bid on balayage as a word because you could be getting people who are just looking for pictures or looking for inspiration, or they kind of want to know what it is. You want to go a little bit more you want to go a little bit more specific, and go after the people who are actually have some intent behind their search. So, stylists in my city who offer balayage, or where can I get balayage services done in XYZ city.
Or like best balayage in Ottawa, for example.
Yeah, so if they are searching for the best service provider or a place where they can get it done or somewhere close to them, that kind of shows intent that they want to have it done for their hair. They want to do that. They don't want to just see pretty pictures or see kind of what it looks like. So definitely go after phrases that show intent, that shows that somebody actually wants to book.
Yeah.
And then when you are writing your ads for that, you definitely want to make sure that you're including those keywords or key phrases in your ad copy. And I also think it's really important that you're speaking to your ideal customer and you're not just talking about yourself.
Right.
So you don't want to say, I like to say this is not a Yellow Pages listing. We're not here to just, put your business name or talk about how great you are or, how you've been serving your community for 10 years or how you won all these awards for best colorist. Like in that first interaction, that person doesn't care how good you are. All they care about is, can you fix my problem?
Right.
So speak to what you think their problem is or what it is that they need. So talk to them and tell them, here's how I can help you. Here are the services I offer that can help you. And I definitely recommend testing a few different ads for each of your ad groups. So in one of them, you might want to go with a little bit more of an emotional appeal. So you might talk about how they're feeling and how, getting their hair done is going to boost their confidence and how they're going to feel great about themselves going out day to day looking fantastic. Or you could also try going with kind of more of a straightforward logistic approach. You're looking for balayage. We offer XYZ balayage services at this price. Here's how you book. You don't know really until you try what's going to get the click.
Yeah. But
just make sure that it's very much in line with the keyword you're bidding on and speaking to your customer's needs.
Awesome. So is there anything else that you should include in the text of your ad? Like, should you include the name of like your area, where you're located, or like, is there anything else other than just like giving that, descriptor about what you're providing that you should include in the text part?
I mean, I think that you should test it and see how it works out for you. There are some character limits when you're writing a Google ad, but you actually have space for 3 headlines. So 3 different headlines that you can include about what it is that you do. If you want to include in one of those headlines where you're located, test that out and see if that helps you get clicks, because you are going to be setting a location target.
Right.
So if people see in your headline where you are, that could be really helpful. But you could also, alternatively, if you don't want to include that in your headline, you could include what's called a location extension, which basically just extends your ad with your address.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that could be super
information
helpful
about where you are as well.
Awesome. Okay. And then I actually want to test something out here. I'm going to take a question. I'm going to see if I can like display it. Yes, cool. So here's a question from Honora. It should actually display on the bottom of the video. She says, I signed into Google Ads and got a letter from a Google advisor. Should I use them or should I do it myself?
There's no harm in speaking with a Google advisor. Keep in mind that they are not going to understand your business like you do. So some of the suggestions they give you may not necessarily be right for you, but you don't have to do all of the things that they advise you. If you want to take the time to speak to an advisor and get some ideas, then absolutely go for it and see if you feel like you're getting valuable information out of it.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I know that Facebook does the same thing. They allow you to kind of talk with an advisor and see if you can get some information. So definitely same thing. If you feel like it's going to be good for you, then it's great to talk with someone. So here's another question from Virginia. So Virginia says, I own a spray tan business. When someone lands on my landing page, do they go ahead and book directly for an appointment? Or should I get them to book a consultation first to warm them up? Right now, I have a link to book an appointment from my landing page. My Google ads have a great click-through rate, 5 to 8%, but I've had 30 clicks with no bookings. So maybe two different questions here. First of all, about the consultation, and then second of all, about kind of increasing the conversion rate.
Mm-hmm. I'm not concerned about that conversion rate off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
30 clicks is actually not a whole lot in terms of direct conversion rate.
Right.
I would say a good conversion rate directly from your ad to booking, a really good conversion rate would maybe be around 2%. So you would need at least 50 clicks to see that first booking.
Got it. Okay. So when she says click-through rate 5 to 8%, she's talking about the first conversion rate, which is, people who see her ad, they're clicking on it because they like it, and then they get to her landing page. And then from there, she's had 30 people view her landing page, but no bookings. So what you're saying is that that's kind of normal. Yeah. She just needs more clicks.
Yeah, so definitely a 5 to 8% click-through rate on the ad, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. So that means that the ad she's written is very relevant to what people are searching for. So, definitely good job there. Again, direct conversion rate from an ad is probably not going to be very high. Like I said, people don't just whip out their wallet or decide to book now immediately after seeing an ad or hitting a website. A lot of the time what happens is they need to think about it, or, they're in the middle of doing something, they're on the bus and, clicking through or whatever. They just need time to come back. So I would definitely expect that once you hit about 50 clicks through, I would hope that you might get at least one booking.
Yeah.
But if you set up a remarketing campaign, all of those people who did click through your ad and land on that page, you can then remarket to them or retarget them and get them to come back and complete their booking at a later time.
Awesome. So remarketing campaign, do they set it up in the same place where they set up their regular Google ads?
Yeah, so it's just kind of a different, there are a few ways you can remarket actually. You can do remarketing through search advertising, but again, that requires somebody to type a search term into Google.
Right.
Or you can do a display remarketing campaign. So those are those banner ads that follow you around the internet.
Yep.
So you can just set that up in your Google Ads dashboard as long as you have analytics installed, you've enabled remarketing, and you create your first custom audience. Usually the default is everybody who's visited your website in the last 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So just set up a display campaign and target that custom audience, and either you can have a graphic designer put some banners together for you, or you can do them yourself for free on Canva.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually remarket on Facebook and Instagram as well.
I love doing that. That's actually remarketing on Facebook and Instagram is probably the number one audience that I always reach for first, because I have a group of about 30,000 people that have visited my website in the past few months. I show my ads to them, and they always get the best results because they already know me. They're already familiar with me. And then I wanted to answer the second part of Virginia's question. In my opinion, maybe you have a different idea, but in my opinion, especially for spray tanning, I would say the call to action can be to book an appointment directly. I wouldn't say that you would first need a consultation to warm them up as a call to action.
Yeah, I mean, she'll know best based on her business. I think it kind of depends on what service you're offering.
Yeah.
If it's something that's really, really expensive, or, maybe something that's a little bit more permanent, like microblading, they might need a consultation to walk them through it and really warm them up to that price. But something like a spray tan that's, not going to break the bank and that's going to come off your skin in a few weeks, like that's not a huge decision-making process. So I think for a spray tan, she could definitely go directly for the booking.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I love that I can display the questions at the bottom. So I'm going to ask one more question to Deirdre, guys. So we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. But if you're watching, first of all, let us know if you've learned anything. Like, just type into the comments, yes, I just learned this. I didn't know this before. And then also ask us any questions you have about Google Ads, because we're only going to be on for another few minutes, and I want to make sure that I get to all of your questions. So just no bad questions. Type them in the comments. I'd love to ask them to Deirdre. So, last question for you that I have is, what are some hacks or like ideas that you have for people to get better results from their ads? So we talked about setting up the text, choosing the keywords, setting them to a landing page. Maybe you have some ideas specifically related to those things, or some other kind of like tools or hints that you have for them to get better results for their ads.
Yeah, so one thing that I think a lot of small business owners who are running their own campaigns, one thing that they don't know is that when you're bidding on a keyword or a key phrase, that's not necessarily what people are actually searching for when your ad is triggered. Google is going to show your ad for any search terms that they think are related to that key phrase. So you want to make sure you're looking at your search terms. So don't just look at your keywords and, your click-through rates for those keywords. You want to go into your dashboard and look at your search terms, and that will show you what people were actually searching for when they clicked on your ad.
Got it.
Because you're gonna find in there, first of all, there's gonna inevitably be all kinds of stuff in there, and you're gonna think, oh my God, like what the heck is this, and why is my ad showing up for that? So this is your opportunity to exclude those words. So it's what we call a negative keyword. You're telling Google, I don't want my ad to show up if somebody's search includes this word.
Got it.
So another thing that you can do is include words like at home. So if somebody is looking for how to color their hair at home, they're not looking to pay salon prices and to go into the salon to get that done. So at home is a good indicator that that search is not going to result in a conversion. So you would add the phrase at home as a negative keyword.
Got
and
it.
Same thing goes with words like free, words like cheap, and
I don't think you want
cheap
going to your Google ad. I don't think you want that kind of client.
Yeah, so basically, look through that on a regular basis, especially when you're first setting up your campaign and starting to get clicks. Go through that and make sure you're excluding words so that you're only getting clicks from people who are serious about booking, and that way you're not going to be wasting money on clicks that don't turn into customers.
Yeah, I love that idea. So I wanted to ask a few more questions that people had in the comments. I wanted to ask you some other hacks, but maybe they'll come out in some of these questions as well. So first of all, Honora says, I understand a lot better now. Thank you. So here's Martine's question. What results should we be looking for in the first 2 weeks to ensure it is on track for success?
So the first thing you want to look at is your click-through rate. So that's the percentage of people clicking on your ad after seeing it. The average is around 3%, but I think you should definitely be aiming for somewhere around 5 to 8%.
Okay.
That's a good indicator that your ad is relevant to the search terms. And one other thing that people may not know is the better quality your ad, the less you're going to pay. So it's not a straight up auction where the highest bidder gets the prize. You can actually outrank somebody who's bidding more if you have a better quality ad. So that's another reason why you want to be very specific. So if you've got a good click-through rate at around 5 to 8%, another thing that you want to look for in your Google Analytics is your bounce rate, because that's going to tell you what's happening on your site when people click on your ad.
Got it.
So bounce rates from paid traffic are generally higher than organic, but you'll hopefully want to see a bounce rate of 60% or less.
So what that means
if it's higher
is that
than that,
for people who don't know, the bounce rate would be people who just go on the website and then they just jump off after a few seconds without doing anything.
Yeah, basically it means they're leaving without taking any other action
Right.
on your website.
Okay.
So if somebody lands on your website, you want them to continue engaging with it, whether that's clicking the Book Now button or looking at your home page or your About page or your contact page or something. If your bounce rate from your paid ads is higher than 60%, then that might be an indicator that something isn't quite right with the page that people are landing on. So it could just be slow load time, or it could be that your page is confusing and not really aligned with what your ad is about.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely check your bounce rate and make sure that that stays below 60%.
Okay, awesome. So click-through rate and bounce rate are two really good things to look at, especially at the beginning, to see, is it working? Are people liking this ad? Am I going to get success from it? Okay, so I don't want to take too much of your time because we're already at 2:00, but I did want to finish these last two questions. So Olivia asked, okay, I'm biased in my answer. Maybe we have different answers, but I think I'm really curious to see what you think. So is Google a good bang for my buck? Or should I start with social media ads when you have a small budget of, let's say, $300 a month? So I teach Facebook ads and Instagram ads. I know that you're a huge expert in Google ads, but also social ads. So I'm curious what you think in terms of a good place to start, where to advertise if you have a small budget.
I think that's going to depend on what your goals are. If your goal is specifically branding, visibility, and awareness, I think Facebook and Instagram are a great place to start. If your goal is like, oh man, I need bookings now, then I'm going to say go with Google, because again, in Google Ads, that's where you have that intent, and you know, it gives you the ability to reach the low-hanging fruit, the people who want to get their hair done or get their spray tan or get their lashes done right now, and they're searching for it. So you can get in front of them right when they want your service. So I'm going to say, if you need clients in the door right now, go with Google Ads. If you just want visibility, go with Facebook ads. Hopefully you can have enough budget to combine them, because I think using both is really powerful.
Okay, cool. Interesting. So, I mean, like I said, I adore social ads. I use them for myself and also for my clients and for my students for bringing bookings in through the door. But I definitely see that with Google ads, you are targeting maybe a different type of person who's at a different point in the buying cycle of, maybe I'm already thinking about doing balayage or lash extensions or microblading, etc. So you're talking to people with a different intent. So I definitely understand that as well. So we only have time for one more question. So I'm just going to ask Danielle's question here. She says, can you put videos on Google Ads?
Videos don't go into text ads. So you can actually run YouTube ads through Google. So kind of like how Facebook and Instagram are the same platform, YouTube is owned by Google. So you can definitely run video ads on YouTube through Google.
Okay, awesome. That's a great idea and something that I'm going to experiment with as well. I'm so curious about YouTube ads specifically. And I think that, you know, for the beauty industry, because it's such a visual medium, using video and visuals in your ad can go a huge, huge way to, you know, bringing people in, getting them impressed with your skills and your abilities and just kind of wowing them with what you have to show them visually. So that's awesome. Okay. Well, that was all the questions. I have so many more questions about Google Ads, and I'm sure everyone else does too. So guys, if you're watching this as a replay, feel free to ask your questions in the comments, and then I'll get Deirdre to come in maybe and answer some of your questions in the comments. But Deirdre, thank you so, so much for taking the time. It's been more than an hour, and it's just, time has flown because we're talking about something super enthralling, and I mean, I love it. So, what how can people get in touch with you, and how can they learn from you if they want to get started on Google Ads today?
Yeah, well, you can find me. My website is definemarketing.ca, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at definemarketingblog. For those of you who are maybe running Google Ads and need a bit of help getting them fixed so you can get clients in the door, or if you want to learn more about Google Ads and set up your first campaign, I do offer a 1-hour workshop where I'm teaching some of these fundamentals and my top 4 secrets to build a profitable campaign. And that's on sale now for just $27, so pretty cheap. You can find that at definemarketing.ca/special-offer.
Cool. Awesome. And then we'll also put the link in the comments so that people can check you out that way as well. Thank you so much again, Deirdre. It's been so great. Melissa says so much good information. Danielle says thank you. Martine says thank you for your time. So everybody appreciates you so much and the advice that you've given about Google Ads today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
Yeah, me too. So everyone, I'll see you again next week on Tuesday for Salon Marketing Live. And until then, have an amazing rest of your week. And I will talk to you all very soon. Bye, guys.